Okay, so we are doing the craziest stories of this week. So again, shout out to Breeze's Creation, who has been sending me these crazy, crazy stories that many may not have known about. And this one is bizarre. Imagine this. Imagine falling in love with an inmate, getting married to him, only to be killed by him at prison. I'm not making it up. It's not a Friday night movie. It really happened in real life. And I don't know if a lot of people know about this story. Check this out, guys. This is a warning sign to a lot of people, but woman killed on conjugal visit with the murderer. Again, he was her husband. Listen to this.
Back in 1990, Brinson stormed into a Los Angeles apartment aiming to rob a retired tavern owner who he thought was a drug dealer. But alas, there were no drugs. There were no big wads of cash, just four men sitting there watching a basketball game. So David Brinson made a plan. He forced all four of those men to the floor and he shot them one by one in the backs of their heads, also known as execution style. David Brinson was convicted of that, and he was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms with no possibility of parole. And at some point, while David Brinson was marking off those long days at the Mule Creek State Prison in California, he connected with Stephanie Dowles on the outside. Stephanie was known to her family as Stevie, and she was a successful salon owner, a mother of 2, and a grandmother of 6. Stevie believed that she was helping inmate Brinson find redemption, thereby making him a better man, and soon she married him. Not long.
We're just going to pause here for just a second. So this is the woman who was killed. I don't know why people marry someone that has no possibility of parole, because if you know that they're not going to be able to ever get out of prison, I don't understand how that relationship is going to go. Like, I just never understood this. If you want to explain it to me, please explain it to me. I'm perfectly open, but I never understood that, right? Like, this woman, she was I guess a hairstylist. I think she owned her own hair salon, and probably anybody that she could have dated not in that situation, maybe. Like, I don't know, but I never understood that. Like, what is the point of that? You won't be able to see them outside of those prison walls. Now, she believed that he had changed his ways and decided, to give him a chance, but not just give him a chance, to actually get married to him. So let's hear what else happened.
Inmate Brinson find redemption, thereby making him a better man, and soon she married him. Not long after that, the state of California allowed her to be alone with him during something commonly known as the conjugal visit. Nowadays, there are only 4 states that allow conjugal visits. Bet you didn't know that. California is one of them. Inmates with good behavior can earn what are called family visits that take place in apartment-like facilities on the prison grounds. And those visits can last up to 40 hours. That also surprised me. Stevie and David, they were on a conjugal visit last November 13th when David picked up the phone and told the officers that his wife had passed out. The paramedics tried to revive her, but less than an hour later, Stevie was dead. For the next 4 months, her family was led to believe that Stevie died of natural causes.
And also, there's a little bit of an update about this. Apparently, Stevie's son wasn't even told, like, when she immediately died, apparently wasn't even told. So I don't know. Like, I always assumed that even if it was a conjugal visit, that there was a guard somewhere outside. I don't know, somewhere nearby. But I guess I'm wrong. I guess that's not always the case. But he killed this woman. Not just this woman, he killed his wife.
But then the coroner determined something else. Coroner determined that Stevie was strangled. apparently by the man she married and conjugally visited at the prison. While Stevie's last visit on November 13th seemed to be the final chapter for her, we are now learning some new details. David Brinson had apparently engaged in several conjugal visits with Stevie, including one in which her 3-year-old grandson was present. Let that sink in for a hot minute. He's a multiple murderer with a wife and grandson on the premises. We've also learned that Brinson attempted to take his own life back in July and failed.
So if that were the case and he attempted to unalive himself, how was he allowed to be alone for a conjugal visit? How was he allowed to be alone with, like I said, I don't know where the guards were, but how was that even approved if he tried to do that? Because obviously that tells you at that point, like he's not thinking right. Like he's not in the right, the mindset at that point. But they approved for him to have a conjugal visit. I don't know, man. Like that's a big one.
Yet, was still allowed his visits with Stevie afterwards. As of yet, no charges, additional, I should say, have been filed against Brinson. DA says he's still waiting for a full report from the prison. But Stevie's family is heartbroken. They want justice, not to mention answers. They want answers. Why are murderers with multiple victims being allowed these family visits? Why did it take 4 months to classify Stevie's death as a homicide? And how many more times will prison officials let this kind of thing happen? Because I hope you have a drink, because this story is about to take a turn sideways. Stevie was not the only woman killed on a conjugal visit at the Mule Creek State Prison. Also last year, on July 1st, Tanya Thomas was allegedly killed by her domestic partner during her visit to the prison. A partner of hers, Anthony Curry, is a convicted carjacker and attempted murderer, and his case just went to the DA in December. I'm joined now by Stevie Dell's daughter, Natalie Jimenez. Natalie, thank you so much for being with me, and I'm so sorry for what you and your family are going through, especially just how complicated it seems and the lack of answers. How did you first find out about this, and where do things stand today?
We found out Wednesday morning, November 13th. We got the phone call that she was found passed out and they weren't able to resuscitate her. About 2 weeks later.
Did they say anything more about it?
No.
Before we go further, did they say anything about being passed out? Did they say she'd hit her head or that she appeared to have a seizure or anything else that was informative other than just passed out?
No.
See, this is the other weird part, you guys. They didn't even tell the family how she died at first. Like they didn't even tell them. It's just like she passed out. She was killed. I mean, this is just weird. This whole story. Like, I don't know. Why would this guy kill his wife? I mean, and I know she's his wife, even though they don't like live together or anything, and he's in prison and she's not, but she still was his wife, and she obviously was in love with him to get married to him. Why would he do that? Like, why would he kill his wife? And then two, why did the prison allow him to have a conjugal visit with no guard present or have him to be alone with no guard nearby, knowing that he had just recently tried to unalive himself? I mean, that's a risk. That's a risk, because here's the thing. If you knowingly tried to do harm to yourself, who's to say you're not going to try to do harm to someone else? So I'm not saying that people shouldn't be allowed to have these visits, but what I am saying is there should have been some type of protection or something in place. I also find it very strange that another woman died at that same facility during another conjugal visit. So what's going on? I don't know.
When David called, he called me. He said when he woke up to go to the restroom, he found her passed out. When he went to the restroom and came back, he found her passed out. But it's like, how did you not see her passed out before you went to the restroom? You know, I also I also asked, what time did she go to sleep? He gave me about 3 different times. Every time I asked him to repeat the story to me, he probably changed it about 4 to 5 times.
So what happened? Like, why did it take 4 months for them to finally come up with strangulation? I mean, 4 months seems an awfully long time to come up with something other than passed out, something as serious as strangulation. And 4 months seems a long time to let you and your family know that.
It's very weird, you guys. Guys, am I alone? It's very weird. 4 months go by and you don't tell the oh, by the way, she was strangled. Why? What is happening? And we may never know. I mean, are there I thought there were cameras all around like the facility. So this isn't on camera? Like what is happening?
It is. 4 months. I honestly think they were trying to sweep it under. It was a little short after, we had help from a forensic person, and when he seen the body, he said there was evidence of abuse, so to do a private autopsy. So I really do think the prison was trying to go around it, and they found out that we were doing a private autopsy, and they just decided to tell us. But 4 months is still a lot. I think they knew sooner, and they could have told us sooner. I honestly feel like they were just trying to find a way to go around it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you know about David Brinson? And were you ever concerned about Stevie going inside the prison walls to spend time alone with him in an enclosed space that's unmonitored?
I mean, speaking to him, you wouldn't think too much of it. It seemed like he was trying to get better. He was in school. He knew I was doing treatments. I was doing chemo treatments and things like that. So he would call me, and he would do like prayers before me going to my treatments. And, he would engage a lot. Well, try to engage a lot. A lot of the family wasn't a big fan of him just because he was in prison. Nobody really knew what he was in prison for.
What?
So,
So I missed that part earlier. Did you hear this part? She said that nobody knew what he was in prison for. I guess she's talking about the family. They didn't know what he was in prison for. I'm like, what? Like, this is oh my God. Oh my gosh. This is just bad. This is so bad, you guys.
Just everything coming out.
I was going to say, what do you make of the fact that July 1st, this had happened to Tanya Thomas? She was allegedly killed by her domestic partner. It's 2 of these in 1 year. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I feel like they should have stopped conjugal visit when it happened to Tanya. They should have definitely stopped it. And even with David trying to commit suicide, he shouldn't have no type of visitation after that attempt.
Right. You? Because at that point, you are a danger to yourself.
And your family planning to sue the prison based on the fact that there'd been a death like this in July, and that, your mom was murdered in November?
Yes, definitely. We do want justice for my mom. Definitely for CDRC to change their policies and be more involved with the civilians instead of the inmates. Just like inmates have to check in 4 times out of the night, they should at least check on civilians 2 to 3 times a day or in the night, whatever the case is. But yes, we do plan on going after the prison, after CDRC.
So let me show you guys something, because there's another video. Let me just grab this really quick, because she looked so happy. Like I was seeing this video and I don't know. I know some of you are probably asking, like, how does she meet him? Like, how do you end up in this situation? I don't know. But it's not unknown that, women, have dated guys that are in prison. And let me bring this up here because I do want you to see her prior to that. Here we go.
The worst of enemies can't hurt us. I've seen people have testimonies where somebody killed their child and they prayed for that person's soul. That's where we have to be. That's where we have to be. And I want to be that person because you reap what you sow. God is a God of his word. You can't deny that. I want to reap benefits. So he had told me to stand. He told me to fall in love with Jesus. And then he told me to get ready for a blessing. Wow.
The death of a woman at a jail in Amador County while on a visit is now being investigated as a homicide. It happened last Wednesday.
Let's see if we can go forward a little bit more. I just wanted you to see a little bit more about her.
All reason and all cries from her family. Stephanie didn't just fall for him, she married him. Yup. She became Mrs. Brinson, prison walls and all, as if love letters and state-issued jumpsuits were the new fairy tale. Stephanie had a slew of accomplishments, the kind most women would be proud of. She raised a family, stayed active, and built a full life. But now, none of that will make headlines, because the world won't remember her as the loving mom, the dedicated grandmother, or the vibrant woman she was.
This is just crazy, you guys. Like at first, like I told you, Breeze Creation sends me a lot of these news stories that you would think would just be unbelievable. When I saw this one, I was like, what? Like this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would this guy kill his own wife? I mean, like, she was willing to take a chance on him and everything. And they said that they thought that he had changed or whatever. I don't understand this at all. But also, like, the prison, I do feel like they're covering something up here. I feel like they're not telling the whole story. And it's just insane that they waited until 4 months later to explain to the family that she was killed, not that she just passed out. So there's a lot of questions here. And we'll continue to follow the story to see if more information comes out. But all I can say is, man, be careful. Just be careful out there. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.